editing your own writing can be painful. After all, you put all of those words on the page for a reason, but learning how to self-edit effectively is critical to helping your story reach its maximum potential and become the strongest version of itself that will resonate with readers. If you've been struggling with self-editing, you've come to the right place, because today I'm going to give you 5 easy hacks that you can implement today with your work in progress. Each of these tips and tricks are going to help you see your manuscript in a new light and make the revision process much smoother. Many of these hacks come from my experience and background as a professional developmental book editor, and many of my clients use these techniques to great success. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Every week, I either give tactical writing advice like today's video, or I talk about the book publishing industry, since that is my professional background. So if you're anywhere along the book writing or publishing journey, I'd love to have you join this amazing community of more than 41,000 authors. One quick thing before we dive in, if you could hit that thumbs up button, it's a small thing that really helps out my channel a lot, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. The first self-editing hack is to read your work aloud. It may sound tedious, but reading each and every word of your manuscript aloud is a really powerful technique. It's going to help you identify awkward turns of phrase, because anytime that you trip up on your own words, you can flag that as a place for you to revise and make that language flow more smoothly. It can also help you track unnecessary repetition in your language or areas that are unclear. I also find that reading your work aloud can be especially helpful in writing more natural sounding dialogue. By reading your work aloud, you are going to pay much more attention to the nuances and flow of your language. And it's going to surface things in your writing that may have otherwise been unnoticed. Admittedly, though, this technique can take quite a while to execute, especially if you want to read the entire book aloud. I recommend breaking it up into smaller chunks. So perhaps you read 1 or 2 chapters aloud every night before bed, or every morning, whenever you have the time. And if the idea of reading the entire manuscript aloud seems too overwhelming, then maybe flag a select few passages that you've been struggling with. Again, dialogue exchanges that you've been struggling with could be really helpful to target here. And definitely read a selection of passages aloud. You're going to be able to implement line-level revisions after doing this that make your sentences flow effortlessly. The next self-editing hack is to start a brand new document. Because I'm a developmental editor, I often work with authors through big picture structural changes to their story. And in these cases, it can be super helpful to work on your new draft in a totally different document, separate from the one that you've been working in. I'm talking about opening up a brand new blank page here. Then, once you have this blank document in front of you, you can retype or copy and paste material from your original draft into the new version. This process really forces you to engage with your narrative on a deeper level and justify the placement of each and every sentence, because you're having to either retype or at least copy and paste it. I also have authors who take this a step further and handwrite their next draft totally from scratch. This admittedly takes a lot of stamina and a lot of graphite or ink, but some people swear by this method. Whether you choose to retype your story or rewrite it manually, having the blank page to play with is going to unlock another level of self-editing for you, because you're no longer tied to what was on the page in the previous draft. And you're really free to implement those bigger picture revisions to your story. The next self-editing hack is to change the font or format of your draft. This is probably the easiest writing hack you can do right here and right now. In fact, why don't you pause this video, open up your work in progress, and just change the font? You can always change it back after. Altering the font, even the spacing or the layout of the text, is going to force your brain to look at it as a new document. Because you've looked at your work in progress for so many hours, having that visual cue that something is different is going to help you find things in the draft that you have previously not seen before. You can also play with the format. So consider printing out your manuscript and looking at it physically. Or you could switch your word processing software. If you use Word, you could use Pages or vice versa. Or you could convert to a PDF. Personally, I like to use Word's focus feature when I'm editing or reading. So I put the Word document in a full screen view and then use the focus view, which really forces me to look at the page by itself. Regarding font changes, some authors swear by switching their manuscript into Comic Sans, because allegedly this font is easier on the eyes. Whatever you do to change the format or style of your manuscript, you're going to see sentences and passages that you've run over time and time again, truly with new eyes, which is exactly what you want when you're self-editing. If you've been enjoying these tips, I have great news. There are so many more tips, tricks, and insights waiting for you on my newsletter website, chapter-break.com. It's completely free to subscribe, and by doing so, you will get my interviews with literary agents and successfully published authors delivered straight to your inbox. I also have a series of deep dives into specific editorial issues from my background as a developmental book editor. As a bonus, just for signing up to the newsletter, you will also get my story self-assessment worksheet. And if you're in the process of self-editing, this is the perfect resource for you. It's going to help you think through all the foundational story elements and identify which of those elements might be weaker and offer opportunities for improvement on the next draft. The links to download your free story self-assessment worksheet and check out Chapter Break are in the description. The next self-editing hack is to use placeholders in your work in progress. Sometimes you might come across a passage that you just don't know what to do with quite yet. That could be because the language is tricky, or you're unsure about a specific detail you're including. In these cases, rather than letting yourself get hung up right here and right now on this passage that is just baffling you, just put in a placeholder and return to it later and allow yourself to continue editing smoothly. The placeholder could be the capital letters TK or something like XXX, just something that is easy for you to then search for in the manuscript and find again. This technique works really well both for line level issues, as I mentioned, if you're getting hung up on the grammar or the image in a specific line, and also for content issues, such as if you know you want to add a setting description or you want to expand dialogue, but you don't know how you want to do that quite yet. Just put in the placeholder for now and allow yourself to come back to those passages when you have more time to focus on them specifically. My final self-editing hack is to create a reverse outline of your book. A reverse outline is a separate summary document outlining what happens in every scene and every chapter in your book. This resource can take a little bit of time to put together because you need to go back through your manuscript with a fine-toothed comb to create it. But once you have it, it's going to be such an incredible resource for you because you're going to be able to see the structure of your book at a glance and take a look at your character arcs, pacing, subplots and how they develop, etc. It can help reveal any gaps or inconsistencies throughout your book, as well as unnecessary scenes or storylines or characters that could be cut to make for a tighter and more cohesive narrative. I highly recommend incorporating reverse outlining as part of your self-editing process. I have another video that goes into all the ways reverse outlining can help you with your revisions, so I recommend checking that out if you haven't seen it already. I hope these hacks make the self-editing process feel much less daunting and that you're energized and inspired to return to your manuscript. Let me know in the comments which of these hacks you already use or which ones you're eager to try next. And if you're looking for some more self-editing tips, I have another video that goes into mistakes to catch in your own writing as you're reviewing it, so definitely check that out. Before you head out, don't forget your free story self-assessment worksheet and my newsletter link. Both are in the description below. And give me a thumbs up if you liked today's video, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on my next one. Thanks so much for watching and happy writing.